most expensive airport in the world to land at. Pearson is the second most expensive airport in the world to land at. And 80% of our airline traffic in Canada goes through Pearson every day. So put those two facts together. Other countries don't charge airlines aviation excise tax on aviation fuel. We do. Air traveler security charges. Certainly the sense that CATSA, which is the Canadian Air Security Agency, is out of control. Who's watching? Who's providing oversight to CATSA and that organization? They're still looking for increases to the air traveler security charge, and a whole range of issues that affect the structural costs of the airline industry. Airport rents charged by the federal government, that Calgary pays, and Toronto, and so on. There's about, when we quantified it, about $800 million, or close to $1 billion a year, that's taken out of consumers' pockets or airlines' pocket and sent to Transport Canada to fund that department. And that's what's, people ask the question all the time, why is it cheaper for me to fly to England from Toronto than it is to go to Vancouver? And the reason is, A, there's competition, more competition from Toronto to London than Toronto to Vancouver. But it's also because it's Canadian to Canadian, and it's expensive to fly in Canada. The 9/11 attacks on the U.S. have had a big burden on us, of course, with security issues. The passport issues, which you would be certainly aware of here. WHTI is the Western Hemisphere Travel Initiative, and that was finally completed all the phases there, and the Americans are starting to get the idea that they need a passport to re-enter their country. I know when it was first introduced, I had a lot of Americans phoning me in Ottawa and saying, how come you people now need a passport for me to come and visit you in Canada? I've been going up to Canada for years, and now I need a passport to come to Canada. I get tired of saying, this is your law. This is a passport to re-enter your own country, not to come into Canada. We want to make sure that you can get back home. It's your law that says that you need a passport to enter the U.S. And so they finally got it figured out. But anyway, it's the passport problem in the U.S. has been a huge issue. It'll take another year or two before that works its way through the system. The cancellation of the visitor rebate program, the GST and HST rebate, was a huge issue. We're the only country in the G8 that doesn't allow their visitors to claim a rebate for their value-added tax. So we're the only country that has a value-added tax, or GST, in the world that doesn't allow visitors to get a rebate. That's a friendly thing to do to our visitors, isn't it? So it's a challenge, and it's one of those things that when you're talking about a destination that's really seen as a value destination, one that presents itself as being full value and not a cheap destination, then it's important that we can provide these little benefits to people that visit here. Tourism is an export industry, so we should receive the same export benefits as other industries. Human resources and staffing. If you think of China, that behemoth economy that's growing in Asia, and the amount of availability of staff they have over there, it's a huge issue. Alberta certainly has been challenged with human resource issues. And so our ability to serve visitors into the future with the right human resources is a huge challenge. Obviously, the economic downturn, the Canadian dollar, and the way it's bounced around from anywhere from $1.10 to 70 cents over the last decade has been a huge challenge in pricing our industry. Obviously, pandemics has been a huge one, whether it's H1N1 or SARS. China ADS, China Approved Destination Status, has been a challenge for us. 1999, Canada was third in line to get approved destination status with China. In 1999, Australia was the first country to get approved destination status. Canada was expected to be the next or third country to get that. And here we are over 10 years later, and if we got ADS status signed at the G8 in the Muskokas soon, we'll be the 135th country in the world to get ADS status. ADS status means that what we can do is mass advertise in China. The fastest outbound market in the world is the China market, and we cannot advertise Canada in China. 135 other countries in the world can, but we can't. The other thing that ADS will allow us is group leisure tours. Right now we get group study tours or business travel, and we'll get independent travel, but we don't get group leisure tours. You can't get that unless you're ADS approved as a country. So when we get ADS status with China, we'll be able to market Canada in China, and we'll be able to bring group leisure tours to Canada. And we'll take the 200,000 Chinese that we currently get from independent travel and group business travel, and we should be able to grow that to 500,000 in 5 years. 200,000 to 500,000. That's huge growth in 5 years. We're projecting for Calgary, for example, that we'll take Chinese visitation from the current level of 25 to 30,000 to 75,000. Think of the opportunities related to your market for China. Marketing investment's been a challenge. How we work together in this country. CTC, the Canadian Tourism Commission, gets $75 million that's been cut down to, it's just over $70 million to promote Canada as a destination. Las Vegas gets $150 million. Australia is over $150 million. That country is 2/3 the size of Canada. And Canada invests $70 million. Australia invests over $150 million. So you can see that the marketing investment at the national level is an issue for us as a country. But if you throw in the provinces, you throw in the Tourism Calgarys and the Chinook countries and economic development, WED and OCOA, if you threw all of those numbers in, there's $1 billion promoting Canada as a destination. Calgary, I wish. Promoting Canada as a destination. So it's about taking all of those dollars and aligning them better. Let's not fight with each other. Let's open the doors to each other. Chinook and Calgary need to work together. We want to work together. We should be aligning our money whenever we can, depending on the markets. And then sustainability. When I first joined the tourism industry 40 years ago, it was a great industry to join because everybody loved us. It was better than being in the insurance industry or being a car salesman or being in the nuclear industry or any of those other industries, or a lawyer for that matter. Any lawyers in the room? Sorry. But it was a great industry to be involved in. Now we're being vilified. We're that bad industry that's polluting the planet. And in some places, they're picketing against flying. They're actually holding up placards and saying, don't get on a plane, you're destroying the planet. So this movement is going to get worse before it gets better. So we better all be thinking about sustainability and the environment. Sustainability comes from three things. One is the environment, the other is social, cultural, and the other is economic. In order to be sustainable, you have to look at economic sustainability, environmental sustainability, and the integrity on social and cultural. If you're not looking at those three legs on this pedestal, then you're not thinking of sustainability. You may be only thinking of environmental or green. So think about sustainability as your strategic plans going forward, because it's growing in importance. Right now it's about 10-15% of the world cares. Only 2 or 3% will pay more if you're doing something. But I believe, from the research I've seen, that you're going to see 1/3 of the world and then 1/2 of the world, especially with this BP problem.